Brendan, you know you're a good writer.
And an actor.
Yeah, of course. Love My Way, Beneath Hill 60, great flick.
I love you too.
Thanks, mate. I'm actually starting to warm to you as well.
No, that's the name of the...
Yeah, right. But would you write a feature film based on a young kid from Brighton who's got a big joy? He's overcome all these obstacles, but he's going to rise to big heights.
Yeah, well, I could probably write it for you, Jace. It just depends on whether you actually want people to see it or not.
Well, welcome to Big J's Place. I'm your host, Jason Stevens. So glad you could join us. We have a great show. Star of Beneath Hill 60, Brendan Cowell is here. Love Brendan. Welcome back to Big J's Place. Well, our first guest was the star of the smash Aussie series Love My Way. He had lead roles in Beneath Hill 60 and the very funny I Love You Too. He's just written his first novel called How It Feels, but more importantly, he's a Sharky supporter. Please welcome Brendan Cowell.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for keeping loyal, mate. Thanks for keeping loyal.
No dramas, mate.
Now, let's start with I Love You Too. Very funny comedy. I loved it. It looked like a great thing to work on.
We don't make many romantic comedies in this country. So when the script came up and Peter Hellier, one of Australia's funniest comedians, had written it, I jumped at the opportunity. It was hilarious. I got to ride in many modes of transport. I had a postie bike, you know,
little train,
the miniature railway. So that was kind of fun, and I got to work with Peter Dinklage, the American actor, who's
of course,
very amazing bloke, amazing actor. Yeah.
He was on Death at a Funeral.
Death at a Funeral. Yeah, he's a dwarf but a genius actor, and you know, he was great to work with. I remember one day we were shooting in Melbourne, and we were in this house, and in the garage there were all these little girls' bikes. The ones with the bucket on the back, and they're pink and they're about that high.
And the tricycles.
Little tricycles, yeah. And just between takes, he came storming out of the garage on this little pink bike that somehow was perfect for his size. It was one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen. But
not exactly the majesty of the Fonz, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, no, that was me on the postie bike, you know.
So Love My Way, I Love You Too. There's a lot of romance in there. Are you a romantic guy?
I am a romantic guy, you know. Sometimes romance, you know, there's a fine line between romance and stalking somebody, you know. Like, you got to know when to pull it back a notch. But, you know, I've always been romantic. I mean, I wrote poems and stuff when I was a kid, which is probably why I had a hard time at high school in Cronulla, you know. Poetry and doesn't really go down that well in certain cultures. But, yeah, I used to, like, write poems and leave them on like girls' windshields and weird things like that. And
really?
With like maps to the park where I had like a picnic organised and a bit weird.
I think these days it is classified as stalking.
I know. People just do it on the computer now and get away with it more. But, you know, it was, you know, no, I do like romance. I mean,
what's the most romantic thing you've ever done?
I think the most romantic thing I've ever done was there was this girl and she was going to be in London for one day. I was dating her. It wasn't just a girl that I just invented or found. No, and I flew to London and asked her to meet me on this bridge. I told her she'd meet a friend of mine. It was her birthday. And then I arrived on the bridge, London Bridge, 6 p.m. Sun was setting and everything. Then it started raining and stuff.
Isn't that...
Yeah.
That's a wake-up call for me, mate. I thought Friday night footy and a pizza with the wife, that's as romance as I go. You've just upped the whole level. You've made it hard for us.
If it's a gourmet pizza and who's playing, you know, that could be romantic.
Too.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk Beneath Hill 60 because I saw that twice.
That's not a romantic comedy, though.
Not a romance at all, but, gee, it was powerful. It was. I don't think I've ever been moved before like that during a movie. It was awesome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was an incredible experience. It's very brutal shoot. I mean, I understand it's probably more brutal for the guys that actually went to the war, not made the movie about the war. But, yeah, mostly shot in tunnels. Tells the story of the Australian Tunnelling Company in the First World War, who they were mostly miners. They'd only had 8 days military training, and they were sent over to Europe, to the Western Front, to mine under German lines and set all these bombs up from underneath. And so most of what we shot was either underground or in storming trenches. And But it was an amazing experience to be a part of and to kind of unveil this story that was largely unknown to Australia before then.
Yeah, it was to me, but, you know, there was an amazing experience you had on set. I'd love you to share that with us.
I remember I was on set one day and we were shooting this particular battle around this corner, and it's like the first day Oliver Woodward has been to war, you know, and he's just come over. And this lady came and her grandfather died in that exact battle.
Wow.
Right on that corner on that day, and she watched us shoot this scene where I'm ducking and trying to get this boy into the dugout to safety, and then I went and met her and she was crying because she was just, you know, her grandfather died there, and I kind of sat with her for a while and had a chat about it, and
wow.
it was just like, it was very strange because
What
she
a-
said
what an
that's exactly,
experience.
yeah, it was kind of beautiful. But man, I think Australians make great soldiers, and I think our sense of humour and our sense of camaraderie keeps us alive in those times, you know. And
Well, speaking of humour, I'm loving your book, How It Feels.
oh, great.
Yeah, it's a real honest account. This is your first book?
Yeah, I wanted to write a book about growing up in the Shire and then taking off into the big bad world and becoming somebody, and then returning home to a place where, you know, people know who you really are. But no, the response has been great. The reviews have been fantastic, and it's an enormous relief for me. It took 3 years to write in the dark on my own, so it's really nice to see it in bookshops and people talking about it.
I suggest there's a little bit of Brendan Cowell in there.
Maybe.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I've got to ask you this one question before you go. Is it true that you were in India and someone came up to you thinking you were Ricky Ponting and you signed...
I happily signed autographs, yeah.
And you said, as Ricky,
Absolutely,
as
yeah.
Ricky Ponting?
I mean, I think I'm a little bit taller than Ricky, so I was a little offended. But in terms of batsmen, we share similar talents, I think. But no, in India, everybody thinks you're part of the Australian cricket team, no matter what you look like. And so I was over there researching a movie that I'm writing about an Indian, a side that goes to India to play cricket. And yeah, everywhere I went, they were like, "You Mitchell Johnson, you Peter Siddle," and after a while, I just went, "Yeah, man, I am." And then whatever you want,
Just
you know,
go with the flow.
just go with the flow. And then out the front of my hotel, there was 150 people waiting for me to come out of my room. It was like it was a 2-star backpackers hostel, like. I don't really think Ricky would be staying at the places I was staying at, but yes, I just went with it and then after a while I was being followed by too many people everywhere I went, so I had to say, okay, I'm not Ricky Ponting, just leave me alone.
Well, it's been great chatting. Everybody, can you stick around?
Yeah, I'd love to.
We want Brendan to stick around. How good's that? There's plenty more coming up on Big J's Place.